regular board meeting at the Doña County Government Center. Our first item on the agenda is to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum, so we will call Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business is roll call and determination of a quorum.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Mayor Padilla.
Present.
Thank you. Trustee Powie. Trustee Powie. Okay. Mayor Hernandez.
Present.
And Mayor Madillo.
Present.
Thank you. Again, Meiji Power. All right. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, great, thank you. Bye. All right, so Councilor Flores is walking up as we speak, so we're not able to get Meiji Power to respond. She already has. We just can't hear her. She could hear us before. We can try her in the chat.
We sent the request. We had.
Okay, that'll be good. You can hear us? Okay. So we can't hear you. All right, so try the calling. Thanks. Bye. She can hear us. She can't speak to us. There we go. Very good. And we have Councilor Flores joining us at 1:42. It's the time.
Just go ahead, I'm here.
So we do have we do have quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And I'll make a motion. I can have a second, please.
Second.
Second from Mayor Perea. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing as there is none, roll call.
Yes, Mayor Padilla.
Yes.
Trustee Powie. She's not on the line yet. Mayor Hernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Madillo.
Yes.
And Councilor Flores.
Abstain. I just got here, sorry.
We're just doing approval of agenda. Yeah. You're in favor?
Yes,
Thank you. The item passes.
thank you for sending it, Sarah.
Thank you very much for approval of the agenda. Next item on the agenda is public input, which I don't believe we have members of the public. Next, so we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is approval of South Central Regional Transit District meeting minutes of June 25th, 2025. And I'll move to approve.
Do we have a second?
So moved, Mayor Murillo.
Second by Flores.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank
All
you. So all in favor, we'll do it manually. So the Mayor Padilla.
Yes.
Okay, Mayor Hernandez.
Yes.
Mayor Madillo
Yes.
and Councilor Flores.
Yes,
And I'll call out Trustee Powie.
Yes, I'm here.
Yay, thank you. So it passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for approval of the meeting minutes. Next item on the agenda is Executive Director's Report. Mr. Armijo, if you would, please. So good afternoon. This is David Armijo, Executive Director. I've got a good presentation, I think. So we'll go through a number of activities that we have for the last 30 days. I'll give you a little bit of an overview. So we have, we'll go over the ridership report. We have 2 major grants that we just submitted on a week ago. The deadline with the state, I'll go into that. NOLO bus and bus facilities and a grant submission. We picked up 3 grants in this category in the last 3 years, so we're doing pretty good. New Mexico matching funds, we got some more money in. I'm going to show the list of how much we have at the moment. We did a special event charter this past week for the fallen deputy from Doña County who happens to live and was at the funeral site in Santa Teresa. We just started a new VAMPO program up to Truth or Consequences involving veterans home. And I'll show you our SCRTD plaque for the facility that we just opened in April. And that photo was done in-house, and I'll introduce you to that new employee in a minute. So that's actually our Sunland Park facility. First time we've had an aerial that wasn't 25 years old. It actually has our fleet. So it's kind of interesting to show, and where you see a lot of the green foliage in the top and that one bus by itself, where the bus is where we're going to put the solar array microgrid property later this year, we hope, or by the first of next year. Ridership. So ridership has actually been trending downwards, which usually happens in the summer months. For the month of July, we were 11,453. However, the same time last year was just over 10,000. So we're still up more than 10% year over year, but we have been trending close to 30%. I think averaged out now we're at 27% growth for the year, which is very, very good. Most agencies are lucky to be doing 5%. So we're at 123,000 rides for the year. We did 132,000 rides for 12 months last year. So with 3 months to go, we're right on target to do about 150,000 or more rides this year. Yes.
Did you say July?
This is through June. We don't have the July numbers yet.
Right. I thought I heard July, but then,
I have July estimate, but we're still working on that. Thank you. So the first of the 2 grants that we submitted, so we had an opportunity, and this is one of those things where I had to really think through it. So as we're both a subrecipient in New Mexico and a direct recipient in Texas, so as a direct recipient, we can submit on our own. As a subrecipient, we have to submit through the state. So then it came down to political, which is our best interest. And so of the grants, there's about 15% or more money that's specifically for rural. And so the concern I have with going in independently is that we would go in, there's like 250 applicants. And so they have to find us in the 250 applicants to see who's rural. If we go in with the state of New Mexico, we're one of only 2 that are applying. In the case of the NOLO, we're the only one applying. So my sense was, in the rural category, there's only going to be a handful of applicants. Our chances of getting funded go up, and they reserved at least 15% of the $1 billion. So that's $150,000 just for rural. So it didn't seem to be that hard of a decision to make, but it is something we'll have to deal with in how we manage the grant. So that falls back on Adam and I to deal with that. In this category, we applied for $5 million. Yes? We're considered rural when we need to be considered rural. This is a situation where being rural is in our best interest. So as a project overview, we're looking at, and right now, under the current review of this administration, they're shutting down all the projects that are green. In fact, before they shut down the 2025 budget back in the spring, they killed all of them. And in fact, even this program was being killed. So it's still up. I've been in conversations with the Secretary Duffy at the legislative seminar. He says we're going to do big and beautiful projects, so we're going to do a big and beautiful project. However, we had an opportunity to go with a with the bus that you see there, which is one of our hybrids. So we could still get hybrid electric with diesel, or by diesel buses or CNG buses and so on. We didn't want to have another propulsion type that would require new expansion for facilities. It made more sense to stick with what we have. So I've designed this project. I'll show the map in a minute, and it's going to be in our 10-year plan. It includes $4.8 million for the buses and $240,000 for workforce development. I'll talk about that in just a minute. So $5 million. So we have a vehicle acquisition. So the other advantage of the hybrids is a single hybrid can fuel and go a minimum of 635 miles, where our electric buses are lucky to do 240 miles. So you wouldn't get as many trips on it. This could go all day. The workforce development will include things for the mechanics, operators, commercial driver's license certifications, and just the ongoing certifications that we do, not just with the mechanics, but also the administrative employees. So webinars, things like that, but things that might have a cost would be picked up. Facility integration, we'll look at storage, charging of the facility. And of course, this is the new facility that we're planning to build up on the Mesa over on Venus. So this would be the potential route design. So when we first started the planning for this region, and we're doing our 5-year plan, then our last 10-year plan, the number one request we've received, well, it used to be Hatch and then Elephant Butte, but the number one overall was always get us to the El Paso airport. We didn't think there's any reason to do that because you had the limousine service here, Las Cruces Limousine, they've been here forever, and you still have options with Uber and so on. But those have become very expensive. So now the limousine service is out of business, it's not there. So there have been successful programs in transit around the country at a premium price where you might pay for limited trips. Now, this has got a long ways to go. You know, the grant could be 2-3 years out, but our 10-year plan will be a discussion that will come back to this board, and I'll let the planners explain to you what the value is. But I like the looks of the map. We did that in-house. So basically that says we're gonna leave from the mall where you have parking, come down to Anthony, and right off Anthony, there's a parking ride right there at the Big 8, so you're not far from the freeway. And then you would come down to Sunland Park with the expectations that we would go forward further. Now, with that said, we also have 3 routes in Las Cruces that connect. We have our copper route, which comes all the way through town and goes into Mesilla and comes up to New Mexico State University. The green route goes from there all the way up to Hatch, and then the red route goes from there to Anthony. So the potential would be, if this service got going, is we'd probably have a circulator or a connector from New Mexico State University that could shuttle the people from Mesilla and other areas around that part of town up into the mall area where they would make the connection, or we'd try to connect that with Las Cruces Road Runner. So that those are other options that we could do. So that's a discussion for another day. Project benefits, clearly, it's going to reduce regional energy administration. It allows fast, efficient services all the way to our border, and it allows us some workforce development programs and so on. So we think this is something good. Now, the second grant is a little smaller, but more intense because it has more parts to it. So this is under the bus and bus facilities project. I'm much more optimistic of this one because this one's only going to apply to a much smaller group. It's only got $350 million out of the $1 billion, excuse me, so 35%, but it requires more rural contracting. Most of the rural agencies do not have the local match to go for a $2 million grant. We will be one of the very few in the country. The project components, it will include buses. So we'll pick up 3 more of these mid-size R-Bucks that we'll have. I'll show you a picture of that in a moment. We'll go after 3 more electric vehicles that are the smaller vans. I'll show you that in a minute. It will implement facility and equipment upgrades into our garage that prepares the EV charging for when we're going to do the microtransit program, and it will allow us additional backup to our new CAD and AVL systems and mobile app. This is the budget for it, $1.7 million of federal funds, $330,000 local, and $2.1 million in the project cost. I'm going to be submitting for a New Mexico matching fund for this to hopefully pick up that $339,000. This is the timeline for it, so the procurement process. The grants are known within 60 days, so we'll know by the end of September if we're going to get this grant. So we could initiate this in October, and then you can see the process. I gave the feds, they asked me for a scoping report. Could we do this in 12 months? And I interpret that to mean, if you can do this in 12 months, we give you the money. So guess what? I said yes. This is that plan. So I'd have to do a lot of jumping through hoops, but that's what we do. These are the vehicles. They're smaller. The ARBOC is a little different than the other midsize we have. It's a 10-year bus, not the 7. So it's got a little bit heavier duty. Will not get the performance as far as cost effectiveness for it, but we make up for that in the smaller vehicle, which does, because that's going to be the electric. So we think those are good transition vehicles for us. I'm also trying to build a system in which I'm extending the life of our fleet, because I don't know what the future's bringing it to us on grants and other things, so I want to keep our vehicles going as long as I can. This is the garage, and so right now on the left side, you see, well, this is the Sunland Park garage. The plan is to add another bay, but it's actually 2 more bays, because you're going to add a bay and you're going to add an area for growth. That's essentially a Butler building. It's fairly inexpensive to expand on this building. You just cut and paste back to it. But yes, being able to add the storage and being able to prepare it so that you can also maintain the smaller vehicles in here. And then having the garage doors on the other side, buses can go straight through. So it's a safety matter that we're not having to back up the buses. We drive straight through. It's a one-way through that. And then the last one is, we've been working on this forever. I missed Tim when I showed this. So we've been working on an app. And so I had an email before I came here. We're still working on that. So hopefully we're going to be in a position within the next year, I'm going to say 2026, that we'll be able to do this. And this AVL app will be not only for the microtransit, but eventually we'll migrate this onto the buses so people can pay off the bus. And we go that route. My next presentation is on the grants. We picked up 3 more grants from New Mexico DOT. If you go kind of scroll down, you look at the fiscal year, you can see we actually have 4, 3 approved and 1 in contingency. And the ones that were approved were pretty significant. On the CMAQ, that's on $832,000 of local funds that the state will pay for. The $919,000 is a combination of capital and operating for our annual grants we get from the 5333, 5311 rural grants. That is huge for us. And then the next ones are a little bit smaller. We have a smaller urban grant that we get out of Lucia Valley. And so that gets matched to it. That's actually the one in contingency. That's 47. The 47 now becomes 95,000, if that's a good deal. And then the other one I think is I think that's, it's 5310. So it's a smaller match to a smaller capital grant, probably a couple of vehicles. Special events, anybody remember the deputy's name? I was gonna memorize it, you were there. Antonio Alemán. So very sad story. It was great that we got a call 48 hours before by the city of Sunland Park. We responded, we had some buses there. They also had some small vehicles, which really worked out. They moved several hundred people. I haven't gotten the final numbers on all this. But it was good to be able to do it. It was very stressful for the city of Sunland Park. When you do shuttles, you go in, you come back, da-da-da-da-da. We didn't do that. It was all one movement, park and wait, and then move them again. The littler vehicles could get in, and so there was a lot of limitations. So the fact that you see the photos, which were fabulous, that they were able to do as much as they did with all the people that were there, and I guess the officers and the flags and so on and so forth, was pretty extraordinary. But people were very impressed with our buses, and they were very clean. They looked pretty good that day. Even with all the rain, you can see the clouds. The next one, and I'm almost done, is we're finally launching again. We've launched before and we're unsuccessful, but we're more successful. We've launched a new van pool program, started last month, and this one goes to TRC. So in fact, that's the van on the right, but we're switching it to the smaller van this week. So one van is 15 passengers, the other one is 8 passengers with a driver, and so we think that's a better fit. We started with 4 people, then 5 people, then back to 4 people. Now we're back to 6 people. All this in 30 days. So this is typical for van pools. So you have to price it, work our way. So we had said before, we thought this was going to be $250 a month shared by the group. So if you have more people, the price comes down. We handle all the maintenance. We handle the capital as our vehicles. We're even adding a credit card so they can wash their vehicles. I saw one of the vehicles, took a photo of it yesterday because he was over at one of the gas stations and on his way in. So this is a good opportunity. I think it's even better that we were able to establish a van pool in Sierra County. So now we have the blue route, we have this one in Sierra County, and over time we'll try to do more. We'd like to get some van pools going up to Santa Teresa from Las Cruces. We understand that that seems to be a big challenge. We've tried to work with the private operators to do that, and they have not been successful. They've been successful in other cities in the state, but not as successful in our region. Although I do see van pools out there, but I think they're coming from El Paso to Cruces, yes. We have one. Now, we have about 5 vans, and so they can be used as needed, but we only have the one big one. This is the midsize.
David, this is Meiji. Can I ask a question? Are you going just for the day shift, or is there one for the day shift and one for the night shift that goes to the Veteran Center?
Thank you for that. These are the staff members who live in Las Cruces and work in TRC.
Right.
And it's basically a day shift. So they leave at 6:30 in the morning. They start at 8, and then they come back. I guess it's 4 or 4:30, and they get back by 5:36. So it's a long day for them. So at the moment, we just have the one vehicle, and we have the 6 riders that are currently riding. They think 7 is the tops. They don't think they want to go much further than that because the more people you have, the more stops and so on. So we're probably thinking that that's the best size. We have several of these vehicles. So over time, we'll see how this works. But yeah, we'd love to be able to do more van pools. Now, the upside to us is it also gets included in our national transit database. So all the ridership that we're gaining from this, and we're breaking even on costs, we're making money on this deal. So yeah, it's going to benefit us. We'd love to have 4 or 5 of these things out there. And I do have more vehicles on order. So we're in a much better position than we were 4 years ago when we first started talking about this. Yeah. So any other questions? And then our plaque. So the plaque came in after the event, but it's important that we have it. So this is over at the facility. So when you visit the Sunland Park facility, you can see the plaque. It's outside in the front. I hope it survives the neighborhood. Excuse me?
Sorry. Thank you. But where is it going to be?
It's actually there. This is the photo from it. It's on the front of the building.
Wait,
The front door is over on the left as you come in.
okay, thank you.
I'm thinking about doing one more and do it for Anthony. We never thought to do it. Of course, we didn't have the money either, so we probably will go back and look at who was on the board at that time, which would be kind of nice because I know Mayor Barraza was on the board and we had some other folks, and so it might be good to do that. So I'll do some research work with the staff. Looks like a good project for Christina. She'll be volunteered. And that's the end of my report. I don't know if there's any questions.
Well, thank you.
Good.
Board members, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Armijo. We appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is a discussion to introduce South Central Regional Transit District's new team members or employees.
Yes, thank you. I'll ask both of you to come up, and I'll do the introduction. So first on the list, Daniela, introduce yourself.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, Mr. Armijo. My name is Daniela Gutierrez. I just started with the South Central Regional Transit a week ago. This is my second week. I come from a background of architecture. I got my master's in architecture about 2 years ago. I've been managing projects, commercial and residential, for a few years now, and I am very excited to be part of this team now.
And she happens to live nearby. That helps. The other thing too is, you've got over 10 years of experience. You've worked for the city of Sunland Park. So it's good that the mayor is online and not in the room. So the mayor might want to jump in at all, anytime he's welcome to. But the photo you saw at the very beginning, that was taken by Danny. You want to talk about how you do that? You have
Yeah, so I do have a certification in drone piloting. I have been doing real estate photography for a few years now, and I've done that to manage projects, document them. In this case, all of the projects that we're going to be doing, for example, the one for the solar array, which is in our facility in 2001 for Charity, I will be using the drone itself to document the process, for example, for the engineer, I was able to provide those pictures for them to see pretty much the area of how it looks like from the top, because Google Maps is just not updating, apparently in like 25 years. For any other project, it also takes video and whatnot, so having a tool like that to document process, document issues, pretty much from cradle to grave is a phrase that I learned, is gonna be very useful. So it's, I have my license on that, and I will be using it a lot for all of these projects.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions of her?
Very cool. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right,
I
well,
have
thank
a
you. I'll
question.
introduce Liza.
I have a question,
Oh,
but
there
I'm
you
not going to ask. I'll ask you later.
Okay.
Okay. So Liza Alonso. So Liza comes with an extensive background in professional background working in executive communications and staff. And so much like Danny, I expect Liza will not only do the traditional office administration stuff working and supporting me, but also will absorb some project management because we have so many projects, so much to do. So I'm looking forward to do some of that. Liza is also a former employee of Sunland Park. We've had several good employees from Sunland Park, so we like that. But she hasn't worked there for a while, Mayor Padilla, so we didn't steal her. We just found her along the way. So Liza, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, good afternoon, members of the board. On my second week, I was recently working in behavioral health as a support to the CEO there. But I think my heart has always been in construction and kind of what I'm getting handled here with Mr. Armijo. So I'm very glad to get back on it. It kind of brings me back to working for the city, which was something that I definitely enjoyed and I learned a lot from. So I'm happy to be on board and happy to meet all of you and be on the team.
Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome
Any
aboard.
other questions from anybody online? Any other? All right, well, thank you all very much for being here.
Definitely. Thank you and welcome aboard once again. Here we go. No pun intended in writing, right? Welcome aboard.
Yeah, there you go.
All
That's
right.
good.
Next item on the agenda is a resolution approving South Central Regional Transit District Employee Handbook updates. If I can have a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Sara Vasquez, Human Resources Manager for the record. I'm just here for very minimal updates and additions to the handbook. And we left it highlighted in red so that you guys can see approve, and then we'll proceed to accept the changes. So we basically changed the title. We had initially been having the handbook called Human Resources Manual, and we basically put Employee Handbook now. So I no longer have a handbook for me. It's for the employees. We also did the revisions on the date. They did revisions on the address. We have a new address now that we are located in Sunland Park. And if we move on to page 31, and we felt under, this will be the use of SCRTD property under property and vehicles. We felt it was pretty lenient, this is on page 31, pretty lenient to have like after the third, and so we went ahead and added just some wording so that we can have a little bit more of responsibility on the employees that use the vehicle. And so we went ahead and removed pretty much the third offense in that paragraph and added that upon the first offense, the employee will receive a formal written warning. Disciplinary action may be taken up to suspension for driving privileges, And upon a second offense, the executive director reserves the right to impose progressive discipline, which may include permanent removal of SCRTD driving privileges, mandatory attendance at a certified driving course at the employee's expense, or termination of employment. Of course, this all depends on the severity of the action by the employee. And any questions on that one?
I want to make a footnote. Thank you for that. So when we first rolled out 8-9 years ago, we did not have a lot of resources. I mean, the first employee handbook was one I wrote myself from a different location. When we were doing our first training review with the state, Dan Wagner looked at that and says, "Are you kidding me, David?" So the state gave us the handbook. And so the state has been trying to have a handbook that kind of stays with all the agencies, which is good on its surface. But I think all of you have known, and when you're in your organizations, things evolve and things start to become somewhat organic. So I think I've always looked at this handbook as an opportunity to continue to tighten it up or do certain things. Additionally, we now have a very good attorney, and John Apple has done a great job for us. He was able to take a look at this. We focused on some of the changes. So I think this is one of those things that I would think about every couple of years we bring back, because other things will come up. And then it's nice that, and John's still new, he's learning us. And then at some point, we'll roll this back to the state and see where they come up with. I actually think this is a much better document this time, and we just made some changes a couple of years back, than it was when we first got it. And so I would certainly share this back with the state and say, you know what, this might be your standard, not the one that you guys are using. But anyway, that's a whole separate thing. But I really thank Sarah for keeping on top of this, and I expect that as time goes on, we'll be coming back.
Mr. Chair,
Mayor Perea.
I just have I think 3 separate notes. I do want to mention that John Appel was also a former, he was an attorney for the city of Sunland Park. So, Sunland Park produces such great quality,
We're like this with Sunland Park.
The second point is in some of the trainings that I've been attending lately, there's been the recommendation of adding expiration dates to policies and to ordinances, et cetera. So that forces review of policies.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that we can consider in the future as we continue to grow and evolve as an organization, as David was mentioning. I'm not making any motion for that today or amendment to the policy, but that's just something for us to consider. And then finally, on the recommendations for discipline, is it more beneficial to have limitations to what can be done, or would it be best to just open it up? It can be written, like open it up to where can be verbal warning up to termination. Am I making myself clear on that?
Absolutely. I mean, we can modify the language that's currently proposed to be more reflective of what you just offered. We have that in the minutes, so we can make that change if the board wants to do that.
Because sometimes I feel if we limit ourselves in our ability to, I'll leave it up for discussion.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, Mayor Perea.
Thank you.
Okay, on page 44, we just made a small addition of a paragraph. I'm sure that a lot of the agencies go through the call-in often, the abuse of PTO or so on. And so we just basically added that repeated failure to adhere to the advance notice policy without a valid reason may result in disciplinary action, including written warnings, when we see that there's the abuse of PTO or the chronic Monday calling or Friday calling, basically. That one. And also we added,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Mayor Perea.
Same thing, same concept in there. If there's continued violation of that same policy, we limit the executive authority to just written warnings.
Mr. Chair, or sorry, Mayor Perea, so I guess I'm chairing today. Here we go. I'm not used to that one. Where's Manny when you need him? I can agree and echo on that too. So, because that's one thing that I would think that including written warnings up to and including termination, that way it just blankets a little bit more in that potential. But there again,
Or in that scenario, I would recommend just, can be disciplined, right? But just to say for written warning, well, read the policy, that's going to be interpreted. Hey, that's all I'm going to get. You can't fire me for this, even though I continuously repeat this violation.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And just finally, on page 71, we added some, the SCR position pay scales, just kind of like a baseline to know more or less the starting point within the market. We have been working with HR consultants for several of the positions, and it was most of them upon the recommendation of the HR consultants from Albuquerque. Okay.
Thank you very much.
If you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Discussion, board members. Mayor Perea, do we want to look at amendments to reflect the verbiage in those specific sections?
I would like, but I think I feel comfortable if the staff takes it back, brings the modifications and then approve that. I'm sorry, I couldn't be there. I'm over here in Atlanta for another conference. So I'm kind of jumping between meetings here as well. So I can't formulate my thoughts 100% right now, but I feel most comfortable with that unless there's pressing time to get this approved by the staff.
No, we can bring it back.
And if the board is comfortable with those recommendations, also.
So Mayor Perea, would that be a formal motion to postpone pending the noted changes?
Correct. And I would put it for the next board meeting.
Okay, postponement until the next board meeting. Is there a second on that motion?
Second by Flores.
Okay, and then we'll continue on the discussion of that motion to postpone with the amendment for the verbiage changes as noted on those specific notes. Is there any discussion on that amendment? Seeing as there is none, if we can have a motion for, a roll call on the postponement to complete the amended changes to bring back to the next board meeting. Roll call.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of something else.
No.
Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Trustee Powie,
Yes.
Mayor Russell,
Yes.
Hernandez, excuse me, Mayor Madillo,
Yes.
and Councilor Flores.
Yes.
It passes.
Great.
Thank you.
So the resolution has been postponed for the amended version to come before us in the next board meeting. Next item on the agenda is approval of a resolution approving the South Central Regional Transit District Procurement Manual Update presented by Diana Gitis. We can have a motion on the floor, please.
Make a motion. Mayor
Second.
Murillo.
Sorry, two at one time. I apologize about that.
Can we repeat?
I believe Mayor Murillo made the motion. I went ahead and seconded.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So motion on the floor by Mayor Murillo, seconded by Mayor Perea. We'll open it up with discussion with presentation.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Diana Chires, and I'm the new procurement specialist at SCRTD. I'm sorry, I'm really short. And I'm here today to request approval for a few updates on the procurement manual. So I provided a summary of the changes. So the first one is increasing the advertisement threshold. So the threshold for advertising procurement projects has been raised from $10,000 to $60,000, bringing SCRTD policy in line with the New Mexico Procurement Code. This change promotes consistency with broader state procurement practices. Does anybody have any questions? Move on. Okay. The second one is the updated board approval requirement. Procurement actions requiring board approval will now only apply to contracts over $100,000 excluding taxes, increased from the prior $20,000 threshold. This change allows staff greater flexibility to manage routine procurement activities and maintains board oversight on high-value purchases and agreements. The third one is clarified definition of small purchases on paragraph 3.2 of the procurement manual. Defines small purchases as procurements up to $100,000. Differentiates between very small purchases under $10,000, small purchases between $10,000 and 1 cent, and $100,000. This provides distinct procedural guidelines for each tier to ensure transparency and compliance. Consistency with federal and state thresholds. Acknowledges the federal small purchase threshold of $100,000, which is below the Federal Transit Administration maximum of $250,000. Includes a note clarifying that the New Mexico Procurement Code defines a small purchase as up to $60,000, which applies when state or local funds are used. These updates reflect SCRTD's commitment to streamlining processes while maintaining regulatory compliance and fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
I have a question.
Counselor Flores.
Thank you. I'm looking at the, on page 9 of this section, I'm looking at the steps involved in making micro purchases. And I guess I'm old school, but I don't understand the amounts. I mean, they seem small purchase as procurements up to 100,000. Is that relative to the expenses that this industry, I don't know anything about business, but I do know about money. And so, and then it's our job to really lay it out.
Yeah, let me answer that one. So I spent quite a bit of time with John Apple on this. One of the problems we faced is that we were working with the state. This procurement manual, by and large, was developed by the state. So it was done with 23 rural agencies across the state in which they don't have anywhere near the kind of money and projects that we do. And so they had a threshold of $20,000. As we've been buying projects and doing with a number of things with like even concrete and other projects, there's some requirements on specifics for that, but generally speaking, 20,000 is way too low.
Okay.
The other thing is because we're a subrecipient, we have to go to the state for every review. And so it can take up to 3 months before they get our approval from the state before we can go out and actually do the project. Best example was the landscaping we did in Anthony recently. Start to finish of the project was less than a month, but the project to get approved was 3 months.
Okay, so.
So we're here because we need a higher threshold, and the state allows it. In fact, the review that John Apple had was the state allows it all the way to 150,000.
Okay, but I guess my question, I think that's great, and it's probably necessary, but where's it, literally the checks and balances on this, and what kind of tracking is being kept? And I'm not, just because, I mean, it's money, and I'm just wondering, well, no, and it's
Well, we're
also for the.
subject to audits, and Adam is doing that right now, so every project is being tracked.
Oh,
So,
hi, Adam.
yeah, so
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you're here, but you understand my question, and it's all kosher. For
Well, it
lack
has
of
to be, or they put us in prison. So, well, I mean, we have audits for a reason.
No,
and
well, I think, though, it's good to get it on the record that it's that all the checks and balances are accounted for. I mean, everything, I'm not calling your integrity into
Well, we do
question, I'm
certificates of
just saying.
insurances for every grant, and the ones I presented to you earlier today, we do it for all those grants. So all that is being done. There is a process for that. I appreciate your question, but I mean, we do have
Okay, I'm
these
not being
things.
accusatory. It seems like you're getting a little defensive, but I didn't realize you were so sensitive. No, no, seriously. I didn't mean to offend anybody, but that's just what we do, right? So thank you, Chair, Mr. Chair, and thank you, David, and thank you, Mr. Shea.
Thank you, Counselor Flores. I will also say that on my side, just as part of a discussion, is that I look at, because we're doing a jump, it's just eye-opening, if you will, from a $20,000 threshold to a $100,000 threshold.
Oh, sure.
And I look at the size of your budget overall in comparison to my budget for the town as well. I mean, we're pretty much similar in that aspect, in the size of the budgets and the oversight that's sometimes needed by the overarching board on that part there. So I get it to a certain degree, but it's also necessary checks and balances, as Councilor Flores was mentioning in that sense. But I do understand the differences between the entities as well and the requirements in that. I just, when we're looking at the total in totality of $100,000 being, I mean, that's almost 3% of the total budget of in a request that's in a power, and it's not like it was mentioned by Councilor Flores, it's not a thing in my mind of integrity by any means. It's just, it's oversight that is usually the checks and balances, as it was mentioned, so.
This was a suggestion made due to the FDA thresholds, which of course, the small purchases to them is up to $250,000. So we're still keeping it below that as well. And that is the recommendation that John and Paul gave us.
And maybe and just in thought is that maybe what it is if the board decides to move forward with that, maybe that's the question is maybe this just maybe it's a consent agenda item that is brought forward as just here's what we're working on. As you already see, these are things that way it's, I mean, you already do a lot of that already, but as it's, that way it's has that oversight and that clarity from the board overall. Maybe it's a consent agenda item on that sense. So,
Sure, we can do that.
I don't know. Other board members? I'm sorry. Trustee Powie?
Yeah, I'm of two minds whether we follow the state guidelines or whether, but we're actually not a state entity per se, correct?
We're not a state agency? I'm not sure I follow.
Well, because those guidelines were written for state entities.
Well, we are a state
Right.
agency. Excuse me,
Okay.
when you're ready. So we are, as a transit district, we are in fact an extension of the state. But even though we use federal funds, there are times when we use only the state funds. And so we have to meet both thresholds, the federal state threshold and the federal threshold. So this does that for us, and that's how it was outlined for that.
Yeah, but you're not a village or it's a little bit, maybe it's not different for villages and cities and towns, et cetera. But I understand the point being made.
Well, we are a special district, and we do have to follow the ICIP for capital projects. So I think we're okay. I think probably because so much of our money is federal, that we'll oftentimes federalize things to go that route. But we've been getting more and more state money, so we've been looking at doing things a little bit differently. So this actually gives us a little more latitude. The other thing is that our bylaws actually had stipulated the $100,000 level. We just haven't used that. So this is a change. I think the reality is the cost of everything has gone up. So for us, 20,000 was such a slow threshold. It was requiring a lot more effort. And, yeah, so we think this has got us on the right track.
Right, I'm not disputing the amount, but oh, excuse me, Majorie. You still have the floor or the microphone?
No. Mr. Chair, just whenever you let me know when I can get the floor.
Trustee Powie,
No, I yield the floor. I understand the issue, because I can remember when it was 20,000, and anything above that had to be approved by the entire board. And the state is now saying 100,000 is acceptable and does not require approval by the entire board.
Yes,
Correct. Yes.
that's correct.
Unless it exceeds 100,000, then we would come for approval.
But let us also be clear. So
All right, the bylaws.
I'm used to working for larger agencies where we dealt with billions of dollars. So in those conditions, whether I was on the LA Metro rail system or I was buying projects for $200 million and so on, even our CEO had $1 million line item for him. So it's a different world, but federal funds. But historically, throughout my career, the way we've handled this is that when we go through the budget, which is going to be presented here shortly by Adam, anything that's in the budget, as best we can show the grants, as I showed earlier with that, that's already in there. We go through the project approval, and maybe we need to be more distinct on that. So the reality is the board, in most cases, has already approved through Adam's quarterly updates and budgets, the information that's in those contracts. So it would be a separate review and approval, and certainly above 100,000 it should be. So in many cases, we'll have already gotten it approved. We're just going back a second time. And most of the time, it's specifically to the contractor, because we're going to award a contract. And we'd still bring that to the board, even if it's under 100,000.
Correct.
That's our plan. That's how we've been doing it. Yeah. It's these $20,000 ones that are the problem for us, because then we lose another 30 days or more.
Thank you, everybody, for the explanation. I'm just going from $20,000 to $100,000. In my world, in my little world, and just because I'm glad we're having this discussion, but that's our job. We take an oath and we have to do that. So, okay.
we still have discussion. Mayor Perea.
Yeah, on my end, I just want to say that I don't have objections to the changes. The city of Sunland Park, actually, we modified our code to reflect these changes from the state. For us, it's been a lot more effective to be in line with state policy rather than having additional restrictions on us, so we can move with more agility as projects are moving and we need to spend down the money. So that has helped us. And granted, I come from the same scenario where there was a point when council had to approve anything above $2,000 within the city. Very, very inefficient for the city. So that had been increased, and I think we just switched from 20 to 50, from 50 now to these higher thresholds that the state has laid out. So we ourselves are mirroring what the state is doing to reduce the workload on our side. So I just want to make that comment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any other discussion?
Not on my end. No, thank you.
Seeing as there is none, we do have a motion on the floor by Mayor Murillo, seconded by Mayor Perea. And if there is no further discussion, David, if you'll roll call vote, please.
Yes, Mayor Perea,
Yes.
Meiji Paui,
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor Medillo, and Councilor Flores.
Yes.
The item passes.
Thank you very much for approval of that. Next item on the agenda is a resolution approving South Central Regional Transit District fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. Mr. Shea.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, motion on the floor, if I could, please. get a motion on the floor before we start presentation?
I move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Perea. And I'll second that motion. Thank you, Mr. Shea.
Thank you, and good afternoon to the members of the board. Adam Shea, Finance Officer for South Central Regional Transit District. The first item I'd like to discuss is an amendment to the budget for fiscal year 2025. It would be the last amendment to that budget. First page is the expenditures. You'll notice there are a number of line items, and the main reason is that taking the overall look at these budget line items in the overall, each item is worth up to 100% of what has been entered. The biggest items that I wanted to draw your attention to is the increase in salaries up by 14, almost 15,000, but a decrease in benefits by 18,000. Also a decrease in fuel by 47,000. An increase in office equipment by almost 6,000, and an increase in facility maintenance by about 43,000. These particular items are specifically associated with the purchase of the Sunland Park facility. There is a great deal of product, equipment, supplies that we did not have until we moved into that particular facility. The reason the facility maintenance was so high is primarily because we had to fix the place up. We had to paint the walls, we had to get new carpeting, we had to clean it up. There was quite a bit involved in that. There's also the office equipment. We had to get desks that were necessary. However, we did have a savings of almost $48,000 from our fuel allocation. Our retirement and other employee benefits, we had a decrease of 18,000. We did have an increase in salaries by almost 15,000, but we also did take on additional services. Are there any questions regarding my request as far as the expenditures are concerned? Okay, I'd like to go over to the next page, was the operating revenue. This here is a pretty simple increase of $63,286.78 overall. It's a decrease in the 5307 by total of $94,369. Also an increase in miscellaneous and other revenue by $40,711. Now that amount is specific to a refund that we received from the Healthcare Authority. I am sure that there's a number of the other agencies for our district that have also received that particular refund. These are the employee benefits for health, dental, vision, and if you recall, at the end of the last fiscal year, we had to increase that particular budget item because they charged us so much. They did almost a 10% increase. Well, it looks like somewhere along the line, somebody said, no, you got to give the money back. Basically, that's what happened. And all. So this here is just a change in the budget line item. We have already received the funds. This gives us a total amount in the revised budget for operating revenue of $3,184,535.50, less the expenditures after the adjustments I've requested, which nets to zero, by the way, of $3,004,157.09. We have a total increase of, well, balance of $180,378.41. One final item I want to ask for regarding the amendment is the capital. In this line item under the local funds, difference of, oh, that's the total. Total of $1,755,585.27, and that does not look right. It's actually the 450,000 plus the 94,000. These are increases, or no, I'm looking at the total, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Amendment number 6, that's the column that we are discussing. A net amount of $88,787.25 increase in the local match. These are the match revenues with the state of New Mexico. Under 5307, a net of an increase of $134,438.69. And this is due to our refunding of expenditures for electric charging equipment directly from the El Paso Electric Company. Finally, under 5339A, an increase of $305,000. This was due to an error in the last quarter's adjustment when I deducted that due to a misunderstanding as far as the items to receive refund from. In essence, it's a total amount of $528,225.94 increase for capital. That concludes my requests as far as an amendment to the fiscal year 2025 budget. Any questions?
Board members, any questions? Okay. Seeing as there are none, motion on the floor by Mayor Padilla, seconded by Mayor Hernandez. If we can have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, Mayor Padilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Powie?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mayor Murillo? Go ahead, Mayor
Yes.
Murillo. Thank you. And Councilor
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Yeah, the item passes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for
They
approval of
keep,
the resolution.
I get keep me being muted, so that's why I'm having a hard time. Sorry.
Thank
Jesus.
you.
Lord,
Welcome back.
Yes.
thanks.
Next item on the agenda is a resolution approving the South Central Regional Transit fiscal year 2025 fourth quarter financial report. If I can have a motion on the floor, please.
So moved by
So
Flores.
moved.
Second,
will
Mayor
second.
Murillo.
Forget it.
Motion on the floor by Councilor Flores, seconded by Trustee Powie. We will open it up for discussion. Mr. Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the presentation of the fiscal year 2025 overall actual financials for that particular year. First page has to do with our cash balances. Balance as of June 30th, 2025 in the general account, $190,110.26, and our money market of $21,440.46, leaving or giving us a complete balance of $211,550.72. We have several items as of June 30th out requesting for payment. Many of these has to do with the New Mexico matching funds as well as with the New Mexico DOT. Basically, a grand total of over $1 million has been billed out. We are just waiting for payment for those particular items. Any questions regarding the cash balance?
What is the cash balance, the amount?
The amount as of June 30th
Yes.
is $211,550.72.
And that cash on hand is enough to have, is this like pocket money type of stuff?
Generally speaking, yes.
Generally speaking, yes, very, okay, so.
We
is
do
it-
have, like I said, we do have over $1 million that's been billed out as of June 30th. We're just waiting for the cash to come in.
Because this looks like
I know.
a little bit of money, in the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, considering the number of capital purchases, yes.
Yes, thank you for the explanation.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next page is the expenditures for the year. Grand total of $2,998,848.96, which accounts for 99.8% of the budgeted expenditures. Now, I don't think I have ever gotten that close to the 100%. But considering we did have all those purchases for the new facility, the fixing up of the facility, the purchase of all the equipment and everything, that did really knock us up. But in essence, we've definitely been below our budgeted amount, which it's not great, but it's serviceable and all. The items that I'd like to point out specifically in the difference between the quarters is under operating costs. That's the line item at the bottom. That is specific to facility maintenance, to office equipment, that sort of thing, supplies. You'll notice that the fourth quarter is $96,000, whereas in comparison to the first, second, and third quarters, it's rather large. And again, it is due to those large purchases in facility maintenance and as well as the utilities. Utilities for the electric, when we brought the electric grid or the charging stations on, it did increase our utility bill by quite a bit. So we're still in the process of determining what those expenditures are going to be on a regular basis. But going forward, we're going to have also some assistance, if I'm correct, from the electric company as far as discounts are concerned. And eventually getting the microgrid in place, we're going to have everything covered. That is the expenditures for the fiscal year. Is there any questions?
Members of the board, do we have any questions? Seeing as there are none, motion on the floor by Councilor Flores, seconded by Trustee Powie. We can have a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Trustee Powie,
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
and Mayor Murillo,
Yes.
and Councilor Flores.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shea.
Yes.
And thank you, board members, for approval of that resolution. Next item on the agenda is adjournment with the next meeting date scheduled on August 27th, 2025. Adjournment. Can I have a motion on the floor to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second by Flores.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Murillo, seconded by Councilor Flores. And if there is no discussion or objection, we'll call this meeting adjourned with our next meeting date on August 27th, 2025.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much for you all being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.